When processing convergent bodies, you're often dealing with a lot of data. In order to process the data correctly, we need to be able to segment and parse the data out for usage in downstream applications. And for that, we have tools under the Segment and Edit. We'll start out with the Facet Body Curvature. With this, you specify the facet body, or the convergent body in this case, that you want to process. And you have a threshold of radius. That threshold is going to allow you to determine a radius for concave areas and convex areas. If I turn this way up, you'll see I have quite a bit of that convergent body highlighting yellow, indicating that it is concave. I'm going to slide this back down a bit, go down to right around 450, 500, and now it's measuring a radius of 458, and anything within that radius is highlighting yellow. If I have a convex area, I can do the same thing and it'll highlight in green, and it shows you, turn this up a bit, those areas. Like in this case, I have some facets that may have folded in on themselves and I'm getting a green area. It's not a general overall, it's just something localized, so it may be just a random depression. Because I don't want to capture those random depressions, I can just leave my convex turned way down and it'll basically ignore those areas. Once I have it colored in the way that I want, I'm going to select OK, and I can now begin applying some facet colors that I want to capture in specific regions. And with that, I'm going to use the Paint Facet Body. I determine the color that I want to paint those facets, and I determine the type of selection that I want to use. For this, I want tangent facets. I'm going to pick one of these facets in this region, and all tangent facets are now magenta. Select OK. Go back into Paint Face Body, change the color. We'll go to a darker green. I'll do the same thing in this pocket and select OK. So with that, I can begin processing my convergent body, create either surfaces from or dividing edges. Now that I have my body colored in the way that I want, I can begin dividing out those regions. And for that, I'm going to use a tool called Divide Facet Face. Under Divide Facet Face, I have the ability to divide by a region, also by curves. For this, I'm going to leave it at region. And for my selection rule, I want a color region. Once I pick a facet in that region, it highlights all of those facets of that color. I can do the same thing in these areas as well. Once I have all of the regions that I want to split out, I select OK, and it processes everything. And as you can see, I have these boundaries along those color-coded regions. Now that I have the regions separated that I want to work with, I'm going to come into my ribbon, right mouse click, and turn on Surface. Under Surface, I can begin extracting geometry that I want to use for downstream uses. I'm going to extract this region, this region, this region, and this region. I'll just go ahead and hide that convergent body. Now that I have those regions extracted, I'm going to go ahead and lay surfaces down on those areas. And for that, I'll go into More and use what's called a Fit Surface. For the Fit Surface, I could use a color-coded region, or I could use an object. In this case, I have the objects already extracted, pick my object that I want the surface to go through, and adjust the degree and parameterization to get this as close as I want. As you can see, as I up the amount of poles that I have, or lower the amount of poles that I have, my maximum error shows up down here. So if I go down too far, you'll see I have a fairly large deviation. So I want to find a nice sweet spot. I don't want overly complex and I don't want overly simple, and a 4x3 seems to do it. Select apply. I'll do the same thing on the side panel, and here you can see I have a larger deviation, so I'll just increase until I get within a nice comfortable ballpark. We'll leave it at a 6x6 for now and apply that. Do the same thing with this rear panel. This is pretty close. And once again, I want to try to use the simplest surface and with a minimum amount of error. In this case, the error is almost a mil away. So I'll just turn this up a little bit and get it a little closer to less than half a mil and select OK. I'll just change my shading type to shading with edges, and there are the surfaces that I have through those extracted faces from that convergent body. Now I can begin extending these out and applying the blends and finishing off the surfaces based off of that convergent body being used as a reference.